Listen to me. Success is not for the lazy. It's not for the comfortable. It's not for the ones who do it sometimes. Success is for the obsessed. You gotta eat it, sleep it, breathe it. You want it bad, then act like it. Be obsessed. Listen to me. If you wanna be great, you gotta stop playing games with your future. You've gotta stop being casual about your destiny. You've gotta stop hoping it works out and start working like your life depends on it, because it does. You wanna be successful? You want to do something they said you couldn't do? Then you got to get obsessed. Oh, I'm talking about the kind of obsession that wakes you up in the middle of the night thinking about your goals. The kind of obsession that has you skipping parties, turning off the TV, and grinding while everyone else is sleeping. Obsession is not extra. Obsession is the price of greatness. Everybody wants to be successful, but very few people are willing to pay the cost. They want the lifestyle, but they don't want the discipline. They want the rewards, but they don't want the responsibility. Let me tell you something. Greatness doesn't go on sale. It's not sitting on sale. It's not sitting on the clearance rack waiting for you to feel like going after it. If you want to rise above average, if you want to dominate in your field, if you want to build something that lasts, you've got to put your whole soul into it. That's obsession. That's doing it when you're tired. That's showing up even when nobody's clapping. That's grinding with tears in your eyes and pain in your chest, because you know the mission is bigger than the moment. You think Kobe was great just because he had talent? You think Serena, Jordan, Beyonce, Elon, or whoever inspires you got there by being casual? No, they were obsessed. They weren't clocking in and out like it was a job. It was their life. They didn't dabble in it. They dove head first into it. And that's what you gotta do. You can't be 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You can't say you want it and then keep making excuses for why you haven't achieved it yet. You can't keep blaming people, your past, your circumstances. The truth is, if you're not obsessed with your dream, it'll never come true. Not because it's not possible, but because you didn't chase it hard enough. Some people think obsession is unhealthy. They say you need balance. You need to live a little. But listen to me, balance is for people who are okay with average. Balance is for people who want to live a life that looks good on the outside, but feels empty on the inside. If your dream is big, if your vision is massive, you don't have time to take it easy. You don't have time to keep checking your phone every 5 minutes. You don't have time to keep waiting for the perfect moment. You gotta be obsessed. You gotta want it so bad that it becomes a part of who you are. You breathe it, you live it, you live it. You fight for it like it's your only shot, because it is. When you're obsessed, you stop negotiating with your goals. You don't hit the snooze button. You don't complain about how hard it is. You embrace the grind. You welcome the pain. Why? Because you know pain is temporary, but legacy is forever. You're not looking for comfort. You're looking for greatness. You're not trying to fit in. You're trying to stand out. You're not chasing people's approval. You're chasing your purpose. That's the difference between those who win and those who wish. The winners made a decision to go all in. The winners said, oh, no more excuses. No more distraction. I'm obsessed with this, and I'm not stopping until it's done. And let me be clear, it's going to get lonely. Everybody's not going to understand you. Your friends may fall off. Your family might not get it, but that's okay. That's the cost. That's what comes with choosing greatness over comfort. While they're playing, you're building. While they're sleeping, you're studying. While they're quitting, you're pushing harder. And eventually that obsession starts to separate you, starts to show. Your work ethic becomes undeniable. Your results become impossible to ignore. People start asking, how did you do it? And the answer will always be the same. I was obsessed. So don't let anyone water down your intensity. Don't let them shame you for how hard you go. Let them talk. Let them doubt. Let them laugh. Because when it's all said and done, they'll be watching from the sidelines while you're living the life you built. One late night at a time. One sacrifice at a time. One obsessed move at a time. You want greatness? Stop playing with it. Be obsessed. Everybody out here trying to play it safe, trying to fit in, trying to do just enough to get by. But let me tell you something. The world doesn't remember average. The world doesn't write books about the ones who kind of wanted it. The world doesn't put up statues for the ones who did just enough. The ones who make noise, the ones who leave legacy, the ones who change history. Those are the obsessed ones. The world respects the obsessed, not the average. You gotta stop trying to be liked and start trying to be remembered. Think about it. Every name you know, every name that comes up when we talk about greatness was once just a regular person. But what made them different? It wasn't talent alone. It wasn't resources or luck. It was that fire, that drive, that insane level of hunger that said, I'm not leaving this earth without making an impact. They were obsessed. They didn't care if they looked weird. They didn't care if people didn't understand them. And they sure didn't care about being average. Average doesn't change the world. Obsession does. When you walk into a room, people should feel your energy before you even say a word. They should see it in your eyes that you're not like the rest, that you don't settle, that you don't fold, that you came to conquer. But that kind of presence doesn't come from trying. It comes from obsession. It comes from day after day, showing up when no one's watching, doing the work when there's no applause, staying focused when distractions are everywhere. That's how the obsessed move. They're not chasing fame. They're chasing legacy. They're not motivated by likes. They're driven by purpose. And look, people will call you crazy. They'll say you're doing too much. They'll say you need to slow down, relax, live a little. But what they don't understand is this. When you're truly obsessed, this is living. Chasing the dream is joy. Building something meaningful is the reward. You don't need weekends off because your mission doesn't have a clock in and clock out. You don't need constant validation because you already know what you're here to do. You don't need people to understand your grind. They're not supposed to. They're not on your level. It's easy to talk big when everything's going well. It's easy to be hyped when you're getting results. But obsession shows up even when the lights are off, when you're broke, when you're tired, when you fail 5 times in a row. Obsession says, let's go again. Obsession says, I don't care what it looks like right now. I know what's coming. That's why the world eventually stands up and claps for the obsessed, because they didn't quit. They didn't water it down. They didn't compromise. They just kept showing up, kept getting better, and kept proving everybody wrong. And I need you to understand something. The world is full of average thinking, average dreams, but you weren't built for that. If you're reading this, if you're listening to this message right now, it's because there's something inside you screaming to break out. And it's not screaming for average. It's screaming for greatness, for excellence, for something that will last long after you're gone. But that only comes to those who are willing to be different, to go harder, to push further, to be obsessed. Some of you are worried about what people will think if you go all in. You're worried they'll jew, they'll laugh. Let them. Because while they're watching you, they're not building anything of their own. While they're mocking your obsession, you're putting in the reps. You're learning the skills. You're stacking wins. And one day they'll be forced to watch you win. And they'll remember the moment they doubted you. But you won't care because you'll be too focused on the next mountain you're about to climb. You've got to flip the switch. No more playing small. No more second guessing. No more trying to be liked by people who wouldn't understand your vision even if you drew it for them. Drew it for them. You're not here to please. You're here to dominate. You're here to make your name echo in rooms you haven't even stepped into yet. And the only way that happens is if you get obsessed. Not interested. Not a kind of committed. Obsessive. The type of obsession that consumes you, shapes you, transforms you into someone they can't ignore. The world doesn't need more average. The world needs more fire. More people who are willing to go the distance. More people who are tired of playing small. More people who don't just talk about their dreams, but chase them with everything they've got. Be one of those people. Be the reason the next generation believes it's possible. Be obsessed. You can't casually pursue purpose. You can't tiptoe into your call and expect to walk into greatness. Purpose isn't something you stumble upon by accident. It's something you chase down with everything inside of you. Too many people say they want it, but they treat it like it's an option. They treat their dream like a hobby. They put it second to everything else in life, like it'll wait for them. But purpose doesn't wait. Purpose requires urgency. It demands a level of focus, intensity, that drive that casual effort will never produce. If you want to live the life you were created for, you can't take it lightly. You've got to go after it like it's your oxygen. Like if you don't breathe it, you suffocate. Because let me tell you something, there will be days where it gets hard. Days where nobody claps for you. Days where it feels like nothing's working. And on those days, your kind of commitment won't hold up. Casual pursuit falls apart when life punches you in the mouth. But when you're chasing your purpose with everything you've got, you don't fold, you fight harder. You don't retreat, you double down. That's what separates the ones who just talk about success from the ones who live it. You can't walk into your future with yesterday's mindset. You can't chase your destiny while dragging your feet. You have to go all in. That means early mornings, late nights, missing out on things that don't align with your vision. It means saying no to comfort and yeah, to consistency. And yeah, it means you're going to feel different from everyone around you. When you've got a calling, you don't move like the crowd. You don't operate on average energy. You don't take weekends off from your dream. You don't take days off from your purpose. You go at it like it's the only thing that matters because it is. Don't let the world convince you to slow down. Don't let your friends talk you into playing small. If they don't understand the fire in you, that's fine. It's not their fire to carry. Stop expecting average people to understand your extraordinary purpose. If they don't see it, it's because it wasn't given to them. It was given to you. And if you're going to fulfill it, you've got to treat it with the weight it deserves. You've got to respect your own purpose enough to go all in. Not sometimes, not when it's easy. Every single day. You don't get to skip the process. There's no shortcut. You can't wish your way into greatness. You've got to work. You got to grind. You got to be so locked in that quitting doesn't even cross your mind. Because when you're walking in your purpose, there's no backup plan. There's no, well, maybe it'll work. There's only do the work until it works. There's only fight until the breakthrough. If you approach your dream with half effort, you'll get half results. But when you chase it with obsession, with urgency, with everything you've got, you unlock a level of success most people will never experience. This isn't about impressing people. This isn't about proving anything to the doubters. This is about honoring the gift inside you. This is about becoming who you were born to be. If you keep treating your purpose like it's second tier, it's going to keep slipping away. Every day you waste with excuses is a day you could have been building something powerful. Every moment you spend distracted is a moment you could have used to move closer to your destiny. You have to decide, do you want to look back on your life full of regret? Or do you want to be the one who said, gave it everything I had? There's power in being all in. There's clarity that comes when you stop playing games with your future. When you get serious, really serious, things start to shift. Opportunities show up. Opportunities show up. People take notice. Doors open, not because you're consistent, because you stayed in the fight long enough for the world to recognize your purpose. That's the reward of going all in. That's the fruit of not being casual. You got to get to a point where you're tired of being stuck, tired of the cycle, tired of starting and stopping, tired of almost. When that switch flips, when you decide that your purpose is worth your life, everything changes. You stop talking about what you're going to do and start doing it. You stop dreaming about what could be and start creating it. You stop comparing yourself to others and start competing with the version of you that stayed afraid. You were not built for casual. You were not made to be average. You were born for something bigger, something greater, but you got to chase it with urgency. You got to pursue it like your time is running out, because it is. No more delays, no more half effort, no more waiting for the right time. The time is now. Purpose doesn't show up for the passive, it shows up for the obsessed. You want to talk about fair? You want to talk about how life isn't fair because somebody has more money, better connections, went to a better school, had both parents, had the right skin color, grew up in the right zip code? I hear you, I've been there, I felt, but let me tell you what is fair. Effort. Effort don't care where you come from. Effort don't care what you didn't get. Effort don't care if you were born on third base or if you had to fight just to make it to the starting line. You want to level the playing field? Put in the work. You keep looking at other people and comparing their chapter 20 to your chapter 1. You looking at what they have, what they drive, how they dress, and you don't even realize effort is the one thing that can close every gap. You may not have their background. You may not have their network, but you can match their grind. You can match their heart. You can outwork them, outlast them, out-hustle them. Because effort is a choice, and every day you get to decide how bad you want it. I came from nothing, slept in abandoned buildings, ate out of trash cans. Nobody was coming to save me. Nobody handed me anything. But I gave 120% every single day. I didn't care if I was tired. I didn't care if I was broke. I didn't care if nobody clapped for me. I gave everything I had because that's all I had. And guess what? That effort built my future. That effort changed my name. That effort changed my story. Some of y'all too comfortable. You got just enough to survive. So you stop pushing. You got a little recognition, so you stop grinding. You waiting on motivation like it's Amazon Prime, like it's supposed to show up at your door with a 2-day guarantee. Nah, effort don't wait on feelings. Champions work through pain. They push through boredom. They train when nobody's watching. They wake up at 4 a.m. while the world sleeps because they know effort compounds. Every rep, every page, every hour, it all stacks. You say you want to be successful. You say you want to be great. But I don't believe you. You know why? Because you still giving 70%. You still choosing comfort over commitment. You still hitting the snooze button on your dreams. You still quitting when it gets hard. Don't tell me what you want. Show me what you're willing to suffer for. Show me what you're willing to sacrifice. Because that's what effort is. It's sacrifice on repeat. It's pain now for payoff later. You keep saying it's not fair. And I'm telling you, you're right. It's not fair. But effort don't care. Effort don't recognize privilege. It recognizes persistence. It recognizes hunger. It recognizes that dog inside you that says, I don't care what I didn't get. I'm going to earn everything. Because when you give 100%, nobody can take that from you. They might have more, but they'll never outwork you. They'll never out-hustle you. They'll never out-grind you. And that's the edge. That's the equalizer. Effort makes you dangerous. Effort makes you undeniable. Effort makes people say, EO, I don't know where they came from, but they don't stop. It puts you on the radar. It opens doors. It breaks ceilings. Not talent, not looks, not luck. Effort, the one thing you control. The one thing nobody can take from you. You can have a bad day, a bad break, a bad season, but you can still give effort. You can still choose to show up with fire. You can still outwork your excuses. Stop looking for shortcuts. Stop begging for opportunities. Start earning them. Start grinding for them. Start sacrificing sleep, ego, comfort, whatever it takes. Because if you put in the work day after day after day, eventually it pays off. Maybe not today, maybe not next week, but effort always finds a way to reward the faithful, always. So I need you to flip the switch. I need you to stop waiting and start working. I need you to say, I'm going to give everything I've got, because even if I lose, I won't lose with regrets. If you fail, fail full speed, fail with heart, fail with sweat on your forehead and blisters on your hand. But don't you ever fail because you held back. Don't you ever let someone outwork you because you were scared, lazy, or distracted. Because at the end of the day, the scoreboard don't lie. And effort, that's the stat that always shows up. That's the stat that don't need talent, don't need luck. It just needs you. Motivation feels good, doesn't it? Gets you hyped, gets you fired up. You watch a video, hear a speech, see someone went big, and you're ready to run through walls. But then what? That feeling fades. That fire dies down, that adrenaline runs out. And now it's Tuesday morning, and your alarm's ringing at 4:30 a.m. And the only thing left is you and a choice. Yeah, and guess what? That's where most people fall off. Because motivation got them started. But discipline is what keeps them going. You don't need another pump-up video. You don't need another playlist. You need to train yourself to get up and do the work whether you feel like it or not. Because discipline doesn't ask how you feel. It doesn't care if you're tired. It doesn't care if it's raining. It doesn't care if it's a holiday. Discipline says to get up. Let's go. We've got goals to reach. Discipline says that the mission matters more than the move. See, when you only move when you're motivated, you become inconsistent. You crush it for 3 days, then disappear for 10. You show up with fire 1 week, then vanish the next. You get excited about the grind until it starts to feel like a grind. And that's the difference between people who reach the top and people who stay at the bottom. The top performers don't wait to feel good. They work through the bad. They keep showing up when it's boring. When it's boring. When it's painful, when nobody's watching, when there's no applause, no cheers, no cameras. Discipline is about making a decision and sticking to it no matter what. It's locking in when your friends are out partying. It's saying no to comfort because you said yes to greatness. It's waking up early when you want to sleep in. It's turning down distractions because your future is more important than your present feeling. Discipline is choosing progress over pleasure, choosing results over excuses, choosing destiny over comfort. I know some of y'all got dreams, big ones. You want to be champions, CEOs, authors, doctors, game changer. But you're still letting emotions run your life. You're still waiting for the perfect time. You're still quitting when it gets uncomfortable. And that's why your dream is still a dream. It's never been turned into a discipline. You say you want it, but you don't work for it. You say you're hungry, but your grind says otherwise. Let me tell you something. Discipline is louder than motivation. It speaks through your actions. It shows up in your habits. It's not flashy. It's not emotional, but it's unstoppable. That's unstoppable. It's the reason some people make it to the finish line while others keep restarting. It's the reason some people live in regret while others live in results. Says the ones who win are the ones who stay locked in, even when life got heavy. You gotta stop being a slave to your feelings. You gotta stop letting your environment decide your effort. If it's cold outside, you still run. If you're sore, you still train. If you're broke, you still hustle. That's discipline. That's maturity. That's growth. It's doing what has to be done, regardless of what you feel. Because you understand that every action you take is a vote for the person you're becoming. And every time you choose discipline, you cast a vote for greatness. Look, motivation might get you started, but discipline finishes the race. Discipline shows up on the days you want to quit. It shows up when the goal feels far away. It shows up when people doubt you, when plans fall apart, when progress is slow. Discipline is what keeps you moving forward when everything else says stop. You want to build something legendary? Then build it with consistency. Stack your habits. Train your mind. Keep showing up, even when it's ugly, even when it's hard. Because there are people out there with less talent, less skill, fewer resources, and they're still winning. You know why? Because they're consistent, because they're disciplined, because they're committed to the process, not just the feeling. You want the results? Then do the reps. Day in, day out. When it's fun, when it's not, when it's easy and when it hurts. Discipline is doing it regardless. That's where confidence is built. That's where legacy is forged. And when you do that long enough, you won't need motivation anymore. You'll be powered by something deeper, something stronger, something unshakable, discipline. When you're chasing something that matters, something big, something life-changing, you're going to have to give something up. That's the truth nobody wants to hear. Everybody wants success. Everybody wants to dream, but nobody wants to sacrifice. Everybody wants to shine, but they don't want to sweat. They want the lifestyle, but not the lifestyle that builds the lifestyle. But if you're really serious about your future, if you're truly locked in on your purpose, then you've got to understand. Obsession demands sacrifice. You can't keep living like everybody else and expect to have what few ever will. It doesn't work like that. You've got to give up to go up. The moment you get obsessed with your goal is the moment you start walking away from comfort. It doesn't mean you hate comfort. It just means you don't worship it. It means you're willing to choose the uncomfortable road, the painful process, the lonely nights, because you know what's waiting on the other side. You got to give up the party, the easy sleep, the constant entertainment. You've got to give up the need to always feel good, because the grind doesn't always feel good. The process doesn't always feel good. Growth doesn't always feel good. But the results, the life you create, that feels better than anything you'll ever sacrifice along the way. People will say you work too much. They'll say you never chill anymore. They'll say you've changed. And guess what? They're right. You have changed. Because the old you couldn't build this. The old you wasn't disciplined. The old you was comfortable with average, but not anymore. You're not living for the weekend anymore. You're not living for the moment. You're building a future. You're building something solid. You're building a life where you don't have to escape from the present to feel good because you created something you love waking up to. And that requires sacrifice. You'll lose people. You'll miss out on things. You'll have to turn down good for the sake of great. There will be days when you're tired, frustrated, overwhelmed, and no one will understand why you're still pushing. But you will, because you're not driven by how you feel. You're driven by who you're becoming. And every time you say no to comfort, every time you say no to distractions, every time you say no to quitting, you're saying yes to the best version of yourself. You're saying yes to a future only a few will ever touch. You gotta understand, there is no such thing as success without sacrifice. If you want financial freedom, you'll have to sacrifice how you spend your money. If you want a healthy body, you'll have to sacrifice junk food and lazy habits. If you want to be elite in your craft, you'll have to sacrifice time, relationships, and temporary pleasure. That's the price. That's the trade. That's the exchange. And if you're really obsessed, you won't hesitate to make it. It's not about losing it, it's about choosing what matters more. Choosing what's lasting over what's easy. Choosing what's worth it over what's convenient. Sacrifice isn't a punishment. It's proof that you're serious. Proof that you're done playing games with your time. Proof that you're done settling for mediocre. You can't keep doing what average people do and expect to live an extraordinary life. At some point, you've got to make the hard choices. At some point, you've got to put the dream first and let everything else fall in line behind. You're not always going to feel strong. You're not always going to be motivated. But that's why obsession is so powerful. Because it burns even when your willpower doesn't. Obsession reminds you why you started. Obsession keeps the vision in front of you when everything else is falling apart. Obsession whisper, keep going when your body's tired, when your friends are out having fun, when the results haven't shown up yet. Obsession says, you didn't come this far to stop now. You will be misunderstood. It will be underestimated. You will be alone at times. But none of that matters if you know where you're going. None of that matters if you're willing to sacrifice what's easy for what's right. Every sleepless night, every skip party, every hard decision, it adds up, it compounds, it shapes you. It builds a level of mental toughness that nothing can break. And one day when you're living a life they said you couldn't have had, when you're standing in rooms they said you never enter, the sacrifice will all make sense. You'll look back and realize you didn't lose anything. You gained everything. So stop thinking sacrifice is something to fear. Start seeing it as something to embrace. It's not there to hurt you. It's there to refine you. It's the bridge between the life you have and the life you want. You're not giving things up forever. You're giving them up for now so you can build a life where you never have to settle again. Be obsessed enough to make the trade. When you're truly obsessed, you don't need someone to hype you up every morning. You don't need a quote on your wall or a motivational video to get you moving. You are the motivation. You wake up with it. You live with it. You go to sleep with it. Obsession doesn't depend on mood, weather, or support. It burns from within. It's not a wave that comes and goes. It's a fire that never stops. While others are looking for inspiration, you are inspiration. Your grind speaks for itself. Your consistency, your discipline, your hunger, it inspires without you having to say a word. That's what happens when the mission is real. Most people need someone to keep them going. They need a coach screaming in their ear, a friend to check in, a reminder on their phone. Oh, but that's because they haven't tapped into obsession yet. They're still relying on external fuel. And when that runs out, so do they. But when you're obsessed, it doesn't matter who's watching. You don't need to be told what to do. You already know. You don't need applause. You're not doing it for them. You don't need a countdown or a deadline to start grinding. You move because it's who you are. This is not about hype. This is about identity. You've become the type of person who doesn't need pushing because you're already pulling. You stop waiting for the perfect mood. You stop needing to feel like it. You work when you're tired. You show up when you're stressed. You keep building even when it's slow, even when it's dark, even when there's no spotlight. You keep going because the fire inside you is bigger than anything happening outside of you. Obsession gives you that power. It's not emotional, it's fundamental. It becomes part of your DNA. You think the greats waited to feel good before they trained? You think legends waited for applause before they committed? No, they did the work long before anyone knew their name. They put in the reps behind the scenes. They trained in silence. They failed in silence. They sacrificed in silence. They sacrificed in silence. And when the spotlight finally hit them, they didn't shrink. They rose because they had already put in the work when nobody was watching. And that work gave them confidence. That obsession gave them clarity. That's the difference. You're not depending on chance. You're building with certainty. Obsession makes you predictable in the best way possible. People know you'll show up. People know you'll outwork them. People know you're relentless. That's what happens when you live this, when it's no longer a goal and it becomes your lifestyle. People see it in how you carry yourself. They hear it in your voice. They feel it in your presence. You don't need to talk big. Your consistency does the talking. Your obsession makes the statement for you. And here's the thing. You're not doing this for motivation anymore. You're doing it for transformation. You're doing it to become something you've never been. You're not satisfied with where you are. You're chasing a better version of yourself, a stronger version, a more disciplined version, a more powerful version. And the only way to get there is to move even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when nothing seems to be working. You move anyway, because you know every step is shaping you. Every rep is changing you. Every choice is either building you or breaking you. Obsession doesn't care how you feel today. It cares about who you want to be tomorrow. It cares about the legacy you're trying to build. So yeah, some days are hard. Some days the results don't show. Some days you feel invisible. But that doesn't mean you stop. That doesn't mean you take your foot off the gas. That doesn't mean you wait for motivation to show up. It means you double down. It means you work harder. It means you show the world that your hunger doesn't take days off. The truth is, if you still need motivation to move, you're not obsessed yet. If you still need someone to remind you to chase your dream, it's not burning hot enough inside you. You've got to get to a point where your desire to win, your need to grow, your love for the process is enough to keep you moving. That's when everything changes. That's when discipline kicks in. That's when your habits begin to dominate your excuses. That's when you start becoming unstoppable. And one day, people will look at you and say, how do you stay so motivated? But they won't understand that it wasn't about motivation. It was about mission. It wasn't about hype. It was about hunger. It was about being pushed. It was about being pulled by purpose. You didn't need a reason to move. You were the reason. You didn't wait on fire. You became the fire. Because when you're obsessed, you don't move when it's easy. You move because it's who you are. And once you step into that version of yourself, nobody can stop you. Not doubt, not fear, not failure, nothing. When you're obsessed, you don't move like everyone else. You don't think like them. You don't act like them. And you definitely don't rest like them. The obsession will separate you. It will create distance between you and the crowd. While they're sleeping there, you're getting up before the sun. While they're watching TV, you're studying, build and create. While they're spending their time on comfort, you're investing your time in growth. Obsession will put you on a different frequency. You'll be running a race that most people don't even know exists. And that's exactly how it's supposed to be. When you're on a mission, you got to be okay with moving alone. You got to be okay with missing out. You got to be okay with not being understood. Because obsession will make you do things that others can't comprehend. They'll ask you why you work so hard, why you never relax, why you don't show up to every hangout. And your answer won't make sense to them because your dream wasn't given to them. It was given to you. And the truth is, some people are not supposed to go where you're going. Obsession will start filtering your environment. It will naturally pull you away from the things and people that aren't aligned with your purpose. You won't even need to cut people off. Your grind will do it for you. You'll start noticing how the people around you use their time. You'll see how casually they treat their potential, how they prioritize pleasure over purpose, and it'll remind you of who you used to be. But not anymore. You're not the same. You've changed. You've decided that your goals are worth more than temporary fun. You've chosen to level up. And that decision comes with a cost. There's a lonely path sometimes, but it's also a powerful one. Because while others are wasting time, you're building a future. While others are getting distracted, you're getting focused. While they're watching from the sideline, you're in the arena. It's not about proving them wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's about honoring the vision you were given. It's about staying loyal to the dream, even when it's hard, even when it's slow, even when no one believes but you. That's what obsession does. It keeps you moving when motivation fades. It separates the serious from the interested. It creates a gap between those who say they want it and those who actually do something about it. The ones who are obsessed don't talk as much. They let their work speak. They let their consistency speak. They let their results speak. There will be moments when you question everything, when the results are delayed, when the support dries up, when you feel like you're running in circles. And it's in those moments that obsession becomes your anchor. It holds you steady when everything else is shaking. It reminds you of your why. It reminds you that the process was never meant to be easy. It was meant to be worth it. And if you keep showing up, if you keep separating yourself through discipline and action, your time will come. You don't rise by doing what everyone else does. You rise by doing what most people won't. Most people won't. You rise by waking up earlier, staying up later, working longer, studying harder, and pushing through when it gets tough. Obsession gives you an edge. It makes you sharper. It makes you hungrier. It makes you willing to do what's necessary, not just what's convenient. And over time, that edge becomes impossible to ignore. The people who used to laugh, they start watching. The ones who doubted you, they start asking how you did it. But by then, you're too busy leveling up again to even look back. There's no hack, no secret, no shortcut. There's only this. You either separate yourself or you blend in. You either go all in or you stay average. And if you're reading this, then you already know you're not here to blend in. You're not here to be average. You're not here to live a life of regrets. You've got something inside you that's bigger than your excuses, bigger than your distractions, bigger than your fear. And that thing inside you is ready. It's ready to break out, but it needs you to get serious. It needs you to stop compromising. It needs you to stop apologizing for how hard you go. You don't need approval. You don't need applause. You need obsession. You need to be so focused, so committed, so locked in that nothing can pull you off course. And when you reach that level, when you truly separate yourself, doors will open that you didn't even know existed. Opportunities will find you. Success will chase you down. Not because you're lucky, not because you're special, but because you outworked everyone else. Because you outlasted the noise. Because you were willing to do what they wouldn't. You separated yourself, and now the world has no choice but to notice. When you truly want it, when you're all in, when you're obsessed, you stop making excuses and stop making adjustments. You stop talking about what's holding you back and stop figuring out how to move forward, no matter what. Excuses are easy. They're everywhere. They're built into our culture. I'm too tired. Now I don't have enough time. I didn't get the right opportunity. But obsession doesn't care about any of that. Obsession said, if there's a wall, I'll break through it. If there's a barrier, I'll climb it. If there's a closed door, I'll kick it down or find another way in. When you're obsessed, you don't look for a way out. You look for a way through. People love to talk about their limitations like they're permanent. They wear their struggles like name tags, like it's who they are instead of what they've gone through. But let me tell you something. Your excuses might be valid, but they're not going to get you to your destiny. You can't build a legacy on reasons. You can't reach the top while constantly looking down at what's holding you back. At some point, you've got to decide, am I going to be defined by my problems or am I going to rise because of them? Obsession. Give you time to feel sorry for yourself. You're too busy working. You're too focused on the solution. You're too driven by the vision to waste energy blaming, complaining, or explaining. You're not making room for weakness. Not because you don't feel it, but because you've learned how to rise above it. You've taught yourself that excuses are just exits on the highway to success. And you're not taking any more detours. When you want it bad enough, you figure it out. You learn what you don't know. You build with what you have. You fail and you try again. You keep moving, even when you don't see the results. You keep pushing even when it's painful, because that obsession is bigger than your excuses. That vision in your mind is louder than a doubt in your head. And that drive in your soul is stronger than any obstacle in your path. Most people think success is about conditions. They think they need perfect timing, perfect circumstances, perfect support, but the obsessed know better. They know success is about mindset. It's about grit. It's about showing up every single day, no matter what. It's about running when your legs hurt, studying when your brain is tired, sacrificing when it's uncomfortable. That's what obsession looks like. It doesn't ask for things to be easier. It demands that you be stronger. You'll see people with less talent outwork the gifted. You'll see people with less opportunity outperform the privileged. Why? Because they were upset, because they didn't use what they didn't have as a reason to stop. They used it as fuel to go harder. They used it to build hunger, to build toughness, to build the kind of resilience that no excuse can break. You want to win? You want to be great? Then stop explaining why you're not there yet and start executing. Stop becoming the kind of person who doesn't need a perfect setup to perform. Excuses rob you. They steal your time. They drain your energy. They distract you from the work that needs to be done. And worst of all, they trick you into thinking you've got no control. But you do. You may not control the world, but you control your response. You control your work ethic. You control your mindset. And when you focus on what you can control, you start making progress. Maybe slow at first, maybe invisible to others, but every step forward is a strike against the excuses that used to hold you down. Obsession demands that you look your excuses in the eye and say, not today. It requires discipline. It requires honesty. You've got to be real with yourself. Are you doing everything you can, or just everything that's comfortable? Are you chasing the goal full speed, or are you coasting with your foot on the brake? The truth hurts, but the truth also sets you free. It frees you from the lies you've been telling yourself. It frees you from waiting on perfect conditions. It frees you from the trap of waiting and still working. You've got one life, one shot. And every day you spend sitting in excuses is a day you'll never get back. The clock doesn't care about your reasons. The world doesn't stop because you had a rough start. Life isn't fair, but it is available to those who grind, who hustle, who fight. Get up, get moving. Turn down the volume on your doubts and crank up the intensity of your work ethic. When you stop making excuses and start making adjustments, everything changes. You take back control. You reclaim your power. You start writing a new story. One where nothing is handed to you, but you build anyway. One where the odds were against you, but you won anyway. That's what obsession makes possible. That's what living without excuses creates. Not a life that's easy, but a life that's yours, fully owned, fully earned, fully lived. When you're obsessed, you don't just chase success, you embody it, you become it. And when that happens, something powerful takes over. You stop hoping you'll win and you start expecting it. You stop walking into situations, wondering if you're good and start knowing you belong. Bull. That shift in energy, that shift in belief changes everything. Because when you expect to win, you prepare differently. You train harder. You focus deeper. You stop second guessing and start dominating. Obsession builds a confidence that isn't loud. It's unshakable. It doesn't need to boast because it's backed by preparation, by repetition, by sacrifice. People confuse cockiness with confidence, but real confidence is earned. It's built in the dark. It comes from the hours no one sees, from the choices you made when no one was watching. When you're obsessed, you're not cutting corners. You're not halfway doing it. You're locked in. You've gone through the fire. You've fallen and gotten back up so many times that you're not afraid of falling anymore. You fell forward so much that failure no longer feels like defeat. It just feels like part of the climb. And because of all that, you don't hope you'll win. You know it's only a matter of time. This mindset doesn't mean you're blind to challenges. It means you're not scared of them. You don't shrink when it gets tough. You don't get rattled when plans fall apart. You adjust. You pivot. You keep moving. That's the difference between the obsessed and the ordinary. The ordinary wait for perfect conditions. They want everything lined up before they start. But the obsessed, they don't need guarantees. They start with what they have, where they are, and build their way into success. Because when you expect to win, you trust the process, even when the results aren't immediate. You stop needing reassurance. You stop asking for permission. You stop apologizing for your drive. You walk into rooms with purpose. You walk into adversity with your head up because you've been here before. You know who you are. You know what you're made of. That kind of belief isn't arrogant, it's earned. And people can't feel it. They may not understand it. They may not like it, but they can't ignore it. That's what obsession creates. Undeniable presence. You don't have to talk about what you're going to do. You don't have to explain your grind. Your energy speaks before you do. Your presence confirms what your actions have been saying all along. Expectation is power. When you expect greatness, you hold yourself to a higher standard. You don't settle. You don't let things slide. You're not okay with mediocre. You don't allow laziness to creep in. You don't tolerate excuses from yourself or from the people around you. You build a culture around you, a standard, and that standard lifts everything you touch. Your work, your relationships, your mindset. Everything gets elevated because you expect more and you're willing to do more to make it happen. And let's be clear, expectation without work is just delusion, but obsession ensures the work is there. Obsession makes sure you're doing the reps, making the sacrifices, staying locked in long after others have tapped out. And because of that, your expectation is rooted in truth. It's backed by hours and hours of proof. That's why it's different. That's why it's unshakable. You didn't just decide you were going to be great. You became it, day by day, step by step, pain by pain. So many people are afraid to believe in themselves because they failed before. But obsession doesn't run from failure. It runs through it. Obsession knows that every failure is data. Every loss is a lesson. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. You don't avoid pain. You embrace it because it's the cost of rising. You don't need everything to go right. You just need to stay in the fight. And the longer you stay in it, the more you learn, the more you adapt, the more you grow. And the more you start to believe that this thing you're chasing isn't just possible, it's inevitable. You expect to win, not because it's guaranteed, but because you're willing to do whatever it takes to get there. That's the difference.